What's up, guys? The boy's back. My name is Malik. I'm going to be creating another video for you guys. Now, granted, I know some of these doc videos are pretty boring, but I think they do serve some immense value. So I'm going to keep this very, very short. So in case you guys didn't know, I'm going to give you guys a little game here. The new way of actually running ads is through content. I'm going to break that down into another video, but it's important we understand the foundation of actually building a brand. And you guys probably hear a lot of stuff about building a brand and how it's done and everything like that. But I'm actually going to get to the crux of it. And it all starts from a foundation of what I like to call memory-based building. Okay, memory-based building is essentially how you actually flood the algorithm or flood your ideal ICP or client, on their scroll, right? As they're scrolling on their phone, your idea is to flood the algorithm, okay? Just to give you guys a few examples, if you guys pay very close attention to something unique, I'm gonna give you guys a little example here. I'm sure you guys know who Alex Hormozi is. We can go to his channel, right? His channel, More Mosey, right? Look at what he's doing. I'm not even kidding. Every day I open up YouTube, this guy is pushing out so much content that his video is actually suggested first. That's how much content he's pushing out. And I want you guys to kind of build a foundation to start doing this, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive a little bit into the topic of brand. So in today's topic, as you guys know, we live in a fast-paced world, choice-rich marketplace. But more importantly, brands are no longer just names or logos, right? They're actually experiences, voices, and most importantly, extensions of values, right? At the heart of every successful business lies a well-curated brand, carefully shaped to connect with its audience on a human level, right? And I know I'm showing you guys more Alex Hormozi's setup and how he's actually flooding the algorithm with content by mass publishing videos. What you guys don't understand, at the core of it is it's a connection, right? It's experience that everyone can relate to. He has this ongoing workshop that he publishes on his funnel. People buy and they fly out to Vegas and they go to the headquarters, the acquisition headquarters, right? And the most important thing that he shares is an experience, right? It's more than just his brand acquisition. It's himself, right? Himself. He's using himself as the core source of acquisition. And the main reason why he's using his brand himself, Alex Hormozi, rather than like acquisition or anything like that, is because this is how you get the human interaction, right? This is how you get the most heartwarming aspect of brand curating, right? Which is the human part. So he's not using a company. Back in the day, companies were like how you actually build a brand, right? You have a company and you just, post content on that. The new way is actually your own personal brand to fuel your company, right? So brand curation involves refining every touch point to ensure consistency, authenticity, and resonance with the customers, aka your ICP, right? It's about crafting an experience that leave a lasting impact, build trust, and foster loyalty. So meaning you must remain consistent across all channels. So whatever messaging you are putting out to the world must be consistent, and you can't deviate away. Of course, in some aspects you could deviate away from it, but I think to build something truly long lasting, the channel must serve one purpose, or whatever you're posting content on must serve one purpose, and it must be consistent across all your channels, right? In some cases, some people's may be philosophy, politics, business, right? Strategy, systems, etc. But it must be consistent, right? So the role of brand curating. I'm going to give you guys 3 points on different ways you can actually curate a brand. Here are a few examples. One of my favorite ones is actually the role of storytelling. Storytelling is actually a powerful tool in brand curation. So even if you're not as, let's say you're not the best at articulating an idea or something like that, or whether that might come down to the business world, you could be a great storyteller. So that means if you happen to run a coaching or a consulting business, or maybe you have an agency and you're great at telling stories with said clients and experiences you've had with people you've worked with and other businesses you've helped scale, that is another way of playing the role of storyteller, right? So you you ever notice that Some of the funniest people have the ability to tell a story, which helps others connect on an emotional level. A strong brand story not only shares your company and your personal mission, but it also showcases the journey, the struggles, the triumphs that makes it unique, right? By sharing an authentic story across the board and being transparent with people across the board, once again, can make your audience feel valued, understood, and connected. So think of your brand as a character in a story. How can you communicate that character makes all the difference, right? How do you articulate that character makes all the difference. Curating trust through consistency. This is going to be the second part. And I think this is the most valuable thing, right? In order to create trust, at the foundation of trust is familiarity. How familiar can people get with you, right? You ever notice that one of the biggest things that most powerful enterprise companies do is they like to flood the algorithm with what? Advertisement. Advertisement, believe it or not, is a form of creating familiarity, right? If you are consistent at running ads, let's say you have a campaign running literally for an entire year. It performs so well, you retarget it, you create different variations of it. It runs so well to the point where people see it so much on their algorithm because you're dumping so much money into it on a day-to-day basis. It becomes like familiar, right? And eventually it actually starts attracting the eyeballs and the attention of the people you seek to serve. So once again, brand consistency is the backbone of curation, ensuring that every personal client or customer interaction is aligned with the core value and messaging. When customers see the same message, tone, and aesthetic across different platforms, it builds familiarity and over time, trust. Remember, trust is built through consistency, okay? Without an aspect of consistency, you can't get the familiarity component to building trust. So curating a brand that stays true to itself helps people know what to expect, making them feel more secure in their choice to engage, okay? And number 3 is gonna be reflecting customers' values, okay? A brand is a mirror of its audience. If you seek to speak to SaaS owners, if you seek to speak to other coaches, consultants, agencies, etc., you need to understand their values. What is important to them? I'll give you a great example. Most SaaS founders oftentimes have values of building a very enterprise-like company, right? Having a lot of subscribers, right? One core value they definitely do want is admiration, right? Having this kind of admiration aspect to, I built a B2B software platform, right? You have to appeal to this in some type of way. I'll give an example for a demographic or an audience. If you look at, let's say, I'll just use this for example, right? If you look at most African-American individuals, mainly like Black people, they oftentimes value the concept of building generational wealth or building some form of passive income, right? These are things that they actually respond to very well and they actually value, believe it or not, right? So you need to kind of, when I say speak to values, I'm not talking about like principles, and in some cases maybe principles, but I'm mainly talking about the values that, like, what people value in their specific niche, right? What they kind of hear every day, but they value it so much. So, for example, some coaches, they value the idea of teaching people in a more unique way, right? For some agencies, they value the idea of servicing clients in a more tech way, I would say, for sure. Some agencies, not all agencies that way, but you kind of get the gist in a way, right? The point is, if you understand your audience's value, you can speak to them very easily. So today's consumers look for brands that resonates with their personal values and stand for something more than just profit, right? So you can't always double down on trying to get their money. Of course, in most cases, you kind of get those people who play these vanity games, showing metrics, etc. A well-curated brand goes beyond a product or service or a feature, right? It really taps into culture. So culture is compartmentalized of values within a group, right? So if you are in the business space, or let's say, like I said, the coaching space, you need to see what type of culture is built universally in the coaching space, right? You need to kind of get a rough idea of how the culture is in the coaching space, right? You heard the meme, oh, coaches coaching coaches, right? You can make jokes out of this stuff, right? Because you're kind of speaking to the culture of coaches in a way, right? Some people say, oh, coaches isn't a real business model in some cases. You can kind of take the reverse aspect to it, but the goal is you kind of have to play to the cultural memes, the jokes, right? You kind of have to play to those values within the group. That's what I mean by speaking to the values. It has to be a form of familiarity, right, with what people are familiar with within that industry. Okay. And an ethical value that matters to its audience, right? So you must tap into the cultural and ethical values that matter to its audience. So the level of alignment between brand values and customers' beliefs foster a strong emotional connection and encouraging loyalty, right? So building loyalty through personalization. This is my personal favorite, okay? I'm going to say this one more time. Building loyalty through personalization. Personalization is actually the key aspect of humanizing a brand, right? Making customers feel seen, heard, and valued. Curation allows brands to create experiences that are unique to their customers based on their preference and interactions. The human-centered approach strengthens the relationship, making each customer feel as though the brand was crafted for just them, okay? So oftentimes, to kind of get this, you can get hyper personalized with your content. You can speak to a specific issue. Let's say hypothetically you have a coaching offer and your coaching offers to, let's say, help businesses scale, right? You have certain businesses who get onboarded onto your program or your offer struggle with this type of issue. Another group struggles with this type of issues. What you can do is you can hyper personalize a piece of content around that specific issue, right? And that is one way of building a form or a sense of loyalty, because people are like, damn, he got that specific about my issue. It's almost like no one else knows this specific issue, right? So that's another way of actually curating loyalty through personalization. Now, the heart of brand curation, okay? I know I'm using this word curating because it's another form of saying like creating. So curating a brand is more than just a strategy. It's about creating a living, right? Breathing entity that grows alongside its customers. It's an ongoing commitment to understanding, connecting, and serving. The impact of brand curation extends far beyond immediate sales. It's actually relationship based, loyalty based, and an identity that people trust and return to time and time again. Okay. So if you found this video very, very helpful, this is just going to be my approach towards creating content. Over the next couple months, you guys are going to see me post a lot more videos on this YouTube channel, and you're going to see how I pretty much abide by this exact piece of doc that I'm literally openly giving to you guys for free that you can copy. It's a free blueprint and it works very, very well. And mind you, I've kind of gotten a lot of this from people that I watch that I personally believe have a very valuable message in the online space, whether that might be the coaching agency or consulting space. Ideally within those three verticals that I've seen, they have gotten tremendous great results. They might not have the biggest audience, but they can get the most out of their audience because how they have curated their brand. So if this is something that speaks to you personally, feel free to drop a like, comment down below, and let me know what you guys think. If you have any negative comments as well, if you feel like I was just mumbling on, I don't know what I'm talking about, feel free to actually let me know how you feel about the video, and I'd love to debate you. Obviously, I just love engaging in conversation. But if you enjoy the video genuinely, feel free to leave a like, comment, and I'll see you on the other side.